everyone, I'm here with Greg Sallow, who did the nails for our December cover. Welcome.
Thank you very much.
We decided we wanted to do something that was very appropriate for New Year's Eve, since this was our December cover. And we had originally thought doing something black and gold, sparkly, and I brought this idea to Greg and you came up with these nails.
After I got off the phone with you, I was obviously looking at different kinds of colors that we could use, and I knew that with the new collection that we actually had, there was a combination between blacks and some sparkle that we could actually, you know, create a bling look to celebrate New Year's.
We talked about maybe doing flowers this morning, but then you decided that geometric shapes would be better. How come you went with that decision?
You came inside the room where we were doing nails and you actually brought in some photographs of some jewelry. And I remember there was a piece that you actually brought that had black and then you had like gold circles around. So I figured, okay, let's try to go with that look to match up, because I thought that would probably be pretty cool for New Year's. The problem was I didn't have a gold that actually looked, you know, like pure gold. I mean, I did, but it was actually too dark, so we decided to just use white.
And I think it looked really cool. The black with the glitter and then the white really stood out. So how did you begin?
You know, it was actually a challenge because the model's nails were quite wide, so I thought, okay, the first thing that we have to do is we have to get forms on and structure her free edge and allow it to dry, and then that way I would actually be able to pinch in a decent C-curve. I knew at that point that I had limited time to get the clear over the top because you have to put the impressions in. The trick is when you do the impressions, you actually have to wait till the surface is matte. You can't do it while it's wet, because what ends up happening, it ends up sticking to the product. So I apply the body, give it a chance to actually set. I dip the circular tool, whether using a C-curve stick or just a piece of hollow plastic or end of a brush cover. You dip it inside the powder and then you stick it in and pull it out, and it leaves that impression. Once you fill it with white, you still have enough time to actually pinch the body in to make it look narrower. You know, and again, her nails were wide at one point, and I wanted to try to give it a much narrower look, and it actually worked out well.
So after you applied the clear and used the C-curve stick to make the impressions, you went in with white acrylic to fill in the holes.
I did. I used a bright white acrylic and filled it in. You have your choice actually to use color as well. There is no rule that says you have to use white. Pastels, neons, there's so many different kinds of colors that you could actually use to fill in the geometric shapes.
And then after that's dried, you go in and you file it, and you'll take off the excess that didn't go into the grooves.
Exactly, and an electric file works perfect for that. You can actually take off all the surface residue and it leaves the impressions sharp.
Any tips for when doing this to make the nails thin? Because it seems like with all the building, the nails could easily become really thick.
The key is actually establishing a thin layer of color as your foundation. In the past, I've used clear to actually build out the free edge so that I have a flat platform to work off of, and then use color above. The key, because the glitter is rich, or even if you're using color powder to create background, use a really thin and light amount. Don't pile it on, almost spread it on wet so that it stays thin.
So after you used the electric file to file off the residue, you went in and shaped the nails.
I always like to use my electric file to take down bulk, and then I use my hand file to refine. You know, the less repetitive motion that you actually have to use, the less problems you'll have with your wrists and shoulders in the future.
This work was obviously for a photo shoot. It's temporary, you know, just for the shoot. What's the difference between doing something like this and then doing a set of nails in the salon?
You know, when you're doing a set for a cover or for photography style work, you obviously want to be able to build the nails out as thin as you can, because, you know, the camera puts on weight, right? I don't know whether you're actually filming something or you're taking pictures, that's a fact, it puts on weight. So you want to be able to build your photography style work as thin as you can. For the salon, you obviously need more structure throughout the body so that they can last 2 weeks.
So after you finished refining the nails' shape and form, you went in and buffed them.
I'm actually going to come in, I'm going to buff the surface, and then I'm actually going to use a 3-way shiner to get them really, really slick, and then I'm going to actually use a top coat. I'm not going to put gel on the surface because, again, it's going to add a little bit of weight to the surface, and obviously we don't want a little bit of thickness towards the edges. So the best thing to do is 3-way shine and then use like a really, really good top coat on top.
Well, thanks so much for coming in and doing the nails for us. It's always a pleasure to have you.
Oh, I had a blast. Thank you so much. I really appreciate
Absolutely.
you and your staff and everything staff. Thanks.
Sure.